You know that moment when you present an idea, no sooner does it leave your mouth, everyone starts shooting it down. Now you know you hate it when people do that to you, but yet we do it to the other person. I mean, how do we learn not to shoot each other's ideas so fast? Well, that's what Johnny English brings out in a very funny, comical way.
Completely innocent to the untrained eye, but click it twice.
It's a spoof on the 007 genre.
Everything in order, English.
You're now entering the most secure location in the whole of England.
Throughout the movie, you see him and his team of spies coming up with all types of ideas and discussions as to what they're going to do now, how they're going to strategize. It's hilarious. It's just a bunch of buffoonery. There's no attention to detail half the time. There's one scene in which they're actually executing a very great, dangerous idea. And
What have they done to you?
They've taken some of my blood.
Bastards.
And he ends up being in the totally different building.
Are you coming over here in a minute, sir?
This has been a test of your emergency response systems, and I have to say you've all done extremely well.
They face what we in business, all of us face when it comes to problem solving. Throwing ideas out is part of decision making. And that's where communication really breaks down, because we're not good at listening to other people's ideas without shooting them down, and they have the same issue with us. Usually the idea dies because the ideas were not respected. How do you advance and how do you not shoot someone's idea down when you know it's a bad idea? In the movie, there's this one scene which brings that out really well.
Colonel Sevenix!
Who hit him? The assailant. He ran in here.
Johnny English, he pretended to be in a fight.
Don't come in, the man's a maniac.
He never thought for a moment that somebody later was going to ask him to give account to that.
Tell me about this assailant.
And it's very similar to what happens when we throw ideas and somebody asks us what we think. There are certain personalities, I happen to be one of them, the gregarious, extroverted. You have to talk in order to get to the point.
He must have escaped while the Queen was being sedated.
This is Roger. He'll produce a likeness based on your description.
He was big.
You can tell that right there, he's just making it up, all right? And that's how all of us feel whenever certain personalities start giving their ideas. They talk like they're really serious and they talk like they really mean it, but you know that they're just reaching. Gets more and more confident with his story. And sadly to say, there's about, I would say probably 40, 50, 60% of the population that their personality is that in order for them to really get to where they want to go, they're making it up as they go along, but they would never say that.
An eye patch, a broken nose.
It doesn't sound right. Note the reaction of his boss and the sketch artist. They didn't shoot it down. They didn't critique him. What they did is what all of us need to learn when we're in the room with somebody that's actually not making it up, but they sound like Johnny English.
Hair color?
Orange.
Orange?
And curly.
Look, if the Johnny English boss and the sketch character can treat Johnny English with the amount of respect that they did, even though they could tell that, man, he is making all of this up, then we all of us show each other that level of respect and that level of professionalism to people that are honestly just trying to create an idea while they talk. So let's look at the behaviors. His boss and the sketch artist ask him questions, but the questions are in a respectful tone.
Now, tell me about this assailant. What did this man look like?
Hair color? Which cheek?
They were doing what's called validating. They were advancing his idea. Notice they didn't just laugh at him, or they didn't downplay him, or they didn't challenge him. They pretty much repeated back what he was saying. That's what we all have to do when somebody in the room articulates their idea. Whether they're right or wrong, we have to learn to ask clarifying questions, not challenging questions. Well, how? How do you do this? Well, let's watch how they did it.
Hair color?
Orange.
Orange?
Okay, and it was like, oh, okay, is that what you mean by that? Okay, so you mean really orange, yeah. Again, he's validating him.
And curly. Well, frizzy, actually. Frizzy sort of thing.
You let the person correct themselves because, again, they need to talk to get to the point or to get to details.
An eye patch, a broken nose, very few teeth. 2, I would say, at the most.
Okay, so by the time he gets into the eye patch, broken teeth, the smile, everything, they can tell that, okay, this may not be really a really good idea, but notice the carefulness in which his boss just looks at him, and he's not downplaying him. Then he looks over to the sketch artist, and they both kind of looked at each other and said, "This is what he's saying." Right here's the moment of truth: is they took the laptop and they showed it to him, and they said, "So is this what you're saying?"
Are you sure about this, English?
And that person, the Johnny English character, did what most of the time gregarious individuals do. They go, "Whoa, no, wait, this isn't a good idea." Look, and I can tell you this from experience, in the midst of creating an idea, and we're all over the place, whenever the idea gets shown back to us, we start shooting the idea down. Why? Because we can hear ourselves. For those that are not gregarious and for those that don't have the patience for that, that's what we have to do, is have the patience to let our colleagues who need to go through that learn how to shoot their own ideas, but they can't shoot their own ideas down if we beat them to it. Why? It's a reverse psychology kind of thing. If you allow somebody to shoot their own idea down when you've shown it to them, they're more than likely going to accept the fact that it was not a good idea. But if you shoot it down while they're still in creating mode, then their ego is going to kick in, good, bad, or ugly, or indifferent, and then they'll stick to that idea for a long, long time. Why? Because I was never heard. Let the ideas come out, repeat it back in a professional way, and let them just stew on it for a second and let them realize, I guess that wouldn't work. Give them that window where they can shoot their own idea down. Now, if they stick to it, well, then you do get into the third phase, get into refining it, but at least you respected the person enough to know that their ideas were valid and it was a safe place to have a conversation. Other folks are watching, and if you shoot down their ideas fast, then other folks are not going to be as brave to speak up, and you're going to wonder why your people aren't contributing in the meetings. Why? Because you're shooting their ideas down.
An uncanny resemblance. Well, it's just as if he's in the room with us.
Whenever you're listening to ideas or you're hearing ideas that mean absolutely nothing to you, or you can tell this is not going to go well, your role is not to shoot it down too fast. Otherwise, you're going to get into a lot of refining that is totally unnecessary because the egos get in the way, and then everybody starts defending an idea that I'm just trying to get out of my head, and I just wanted to see if perhaps it was a good idea. Now, what about the folks that don't bring up ideas, that don't search, that don't risk it like that, the folks that don't speak up, and they're pretty linear, they're pretty systematic about how to bring things up, but they just don't bring things up for many reasons. What about those guys in meetings? Well, now they'll just have to wait for another movie. See you at the movies.